Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak on this 19th day of July 2021. My name is Sam Gituko and I want to introduce the panel here. We have Dr. Eden Kenan, who is the Joint Secretary of the of the Jubilee Parliamentary Group, also Member of Parliament for Elders. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning, viewers.
We have Herman Manyora, political analyst and also lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Welcome back.
Thank you and good morning, viewers.
And Kimani Ishongwa from Kikuyu constituency. Karibu sana to the show.
Good morning, viewers.
You're looking quite happy. We'll be determining why that is the case. Just to pass apologies from Dr. Ochilo Ayako, the senator for Migori constituency, county rather. He's not able to join us this morning. He will do so at a later date. And I want us to begin by looking at what's informing the headlines on the two dailies, starting with Daily Nation. Why Uhuru faces a big dilemma. President hopes to leave a cohesive nation in line with the handshake, and the Daily Nation is saying it's race against time as he works towards completing his Big Four agenda projects. A key plank of his legacy, pressure is piling from competing quarters to name his successor, both in Mount Kenya backyard, in his Mount Kenya backyard, where he is the de facto kingpin, and in the race for State House. Of course, the final year of President Kenyatta begins sometime in August, at a time that you're also expecting to hear from the Court of Appeal the judgment of the Building Bridges Initiative, the Constitutional Amendment Bill of 2020, a matter that is pending the court. It may determine what shape the Kenyatta succession takes after that. Then on the Standard, Tuju Murathe defiant as party wars explode. Disgruntled Kieleweke MPs have trained their guns on party officials as the infighting in Jubilee escalates over a string of losses it suffered in recent by-elections, with the secretariat clashing with elected leaders. The stories on page 7 we've been hearing from different leaders, especially from the likes of Kanini Kega, talking about that this leadership may have failed what happened in Kiambaa constituency. And before we can look at what transpired there, let me begin with you, Dr. Kenan, because yes, we have heard from these leaders, but are they focusing on the real problem within the party at this time?
Thank you. I think right now what we are doing, there's a debate. We're all aware Jubilee had serious challenges because of the disagreement between the president and his deputy on party policy issues and other party-related matters, and that has divided the party. That is the truth. One faction of the party has gone ahead and organized themselves. The other part, which included myself, have not been well organized. So what right now we are trying to do is to reload, reorganize, and re-energize Jubilee in preparation for 2022 general elections. So what you see right now is issues relating to some of the areas where we feel we may have not done very well. And I think it is normal in any democracy for people to have a very healthy debate, and that's what we are going through right now. And I hope in the next 1 month, you will be seeing a totally different Jubilee than you are seeing right now. And I can assure you, and you can take it to the bank, that the Jubilee that you will be seeing from the Kiambaa by-election will not be the Jubilee you are seeing right now. In terms of grassroots support, in terms of visibility on the ground, in terms of networking, because basically 13 months down the line, yes, if you look at the way since the advent of multipartyism in 1992, general election, 1997, 2002, 2007, 2013, 2017, generally parties tend to organize themselves, in the last 8 months, and that is, so we are not late.
Okay.
And that is where we're headed. And therefore, the debate that you see is healthy. We are trying to do both summative and formative evaluation on where we may have made mistakes. And we know right now the mistakes that we have made. And I can assure you, our political competitors will be in for a big surprise. Okay.
We'll get to that, but let's first just see what happened towards the end of last week in Kiambaa. Listen.
He is a symbolic member of parliament who symbolizes the beginning of the journey to 2022. Kuna wale wanasema sisi twende kwa ODM, mtaenda huko. wale wanaenda kwa ODM waende peke yao. Safari ya mama mboga, hasa mtu ya mkokoteni, makanga na ule mtu anaitwa kondakta ya kwenda State House imeanza Kiambaa saa hii.
The people's power is greater than the people in power. Nataka niseme hii safari ya State House imeanza, sivyo?
Nasikia wengine wanasema wanataka washikane ndio wawe na coalition kubwa. Muambie hivi, ile coalition sisi tumeanza ni ya sisi na Mungu na William Ruto.
And we want to tell this government, stop intimidating the Kenyan people. Asla Nation iende wapi? I want to declare that the journey is unstoppable.
All right, and Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, we see you there, and your fellow leaders are saying that the race to State House for DP Ruto begins at that point. What has this been for you, especially the first member of parliament from UDA, and what worked for you? What was right?
Thank you, Tuku. And let me just correct you, the other members of UDA. There are members who were elected on PDR, which then changed names to UDA. So the other members, sitting members of parliament that belong to the party, or who were elected on the party's ticket. But allow me to begin with what my brother Kenan said, that there have been disagreements between the president and his deputy on party policy issues, which is not a fact. There has never been disagreements on party policy, because if you to espouse party policy is what we went into the 2017 and 2013 elections for, on a transformative agenda to transform this country over a period of 20 years, moving forward from the infrastructural developments that we had 2013-2017 and carrying it on with the Big Four. And there has never been disagreement on the Big Four or anything that relates to party policy. What has stemmed the disagreements is open and orchestrated fights, principally from the party leader to his deputy party leader and his deputy president. Therefore, we cannot really say that there have been disagreements on party policy issues. To Gituku, when we say that the election of John Wanjiku, who I take this opportunity to congratulate the people of Kiambaa for electing him on a UDA ticket, and of course withstanding the immense pressure and intimidation and coercion that was exerted on the people through chiefs, the administration, the police, and the entire government machinery being brought down on the people of Kiambaa to try and influence how they vote. I must really congratulate the people of Kiambaa because they stood firm to elect the leader that
How exactly did chiefs and government officers do that?
The election was being conducted in a way by chiefs trying to influence people. I'll tell you what happened. Chiefs and the assistant chiefs, the DCC Kiambaa, Mr. Minor, the ACCs, all the ACCs across the constituency were deployed in stations, polling stations, in full uniform, loaded with a lot of money. Each chief, assistant chief I hear, had about 50,000 shillings that morning. Each chief had not less than 100,000 shillings. ACCs, 200 to 250,000. I don't know how much the DCCs and the members of parliament who are supporting Jubilee were carrying with them. And you remember the week before, and even at the onset when the candidates were preparing to return their papers to IEBC did give directives on who they wanted in polling stations. Among us this list, they said, we do not want politicians even being agents. Jubilee never heeded that, or those members who are supporting Jubilee never heeded that. Chiefs appeared in polling stations in full uniform. They were getting lists of the Inua Jamii voters. And allow me to finish this, Gituku, because if we do not talk about these things today, they will become a problem tomorrow. We spoke about violence, from Kibra to Msambweni to every other by-election in Nakuru. At least that violence, they have now shaped up. They did not instigate the kind of violence that you saw in Kibra and in Nakuru and in Msambweni. But in terms of trying to influence voter decisions using the provincial administration, that was very rampant. You remember it took none other than the chair of IBC, Honorable Chebukati, to issue a statement that morning that chiefs in uniform were not among the officials who are supposed to be in polling stations. but they were getting the Inua Jamii list, the money for the elderly. You are promised, and they would ferry the elderly from their homes to the polling stations, and you are told, so long as you vote for Jubilee, the chief is there to make sure that they see you voting for Jubilee. Once you vote for Jubilee, you are assured of getting your Inua Jamii stipends, which they get quarterly. You will get for 2 quarters, that's 6 months. And therefore, that's why I was congratulating the people of Kiambaa for withstanding all that. But going back to the party.
But that point you raised that politicians are not allowed to be agents. Is that factual? Because what I remember the ABC chair saying is that we do not recognize any person called super agent, as long as you are an agent.
In fact, the directive was very clear. The directive, because we even sought clarification. They said the super agents are the ones who are supposed to be roaming from one polling station to the other. And that is what they said, we do not recognize that. If you are a politician and you have to be an agent, you have to be domiciled inside the classroom like any other agent. Okay. Ask yourself, is that what Kimunya was doing? Is that what all the other MPs that you saw in Kiambaa are doing? Okay. That is not what they were doing. But if you allow me to go back to the party, because I read an article by the Honorable
Can we go to that after we listen to what Sabina Chege and Kariri Njama spoke about the loss in that constituency?
I want to say President Uhuru Kenyatta was not on the ballot. It was about Kariri Njama and the people of Kiambaa. It is unfortunate that people brought in the issues of the party to Kiambaa people, and they denied them a chance to be served by a very humble man. But because of party politics, people came to flex their muscles. But I just want to remind Kenyans, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was not on the ballot.
We are going to seek a readdress through the court so that we can have the ballots recounted.
Kwa imara kwa Jubilee, na tuna hope ya kwamba IBC haki ya Kariri Njama itapatikana.
So that is Sabina Chege. Excuse me. She's the woman representative for Murang'a County, and Kariri Njama was the candidate in Kiambaa. He polled 21,263. Wanjiku, John Juguna Wanjiku, excuse me, scored 21,773. A difference of 510 votes. I will bring you on board, Haman, but let's first listen to Dr. Kenan, because there has been several things said by Honorable Ishungwa, but also what went wrong for you as Jubilee Party, because now there appears to be quite a reaction on things that may not have been done. What didn't work for you? Is it the choice of candidate? Is this the conduct of the campaign, or what exactly?
I think let me first of all take this early opportunity to congratulate the members of parliament led by the Honorable Wambugu, the Honorable Mwadi, the Honorable Judy Njomo, the Honorable Sabina, and the Honorable Kabinga for the good work that they have done. I think you are in this country, you are aware what has been happening with the party. One faction decided to take advantage and use the party infrastructure for the last 4 years to their own advantage. And for the 3 weeks, actually 2.5 weeks, the members of parliament have been on the ground. Initially, Jubilee was not doing very well. The candidate was very strong. Jubilee was not doing very well. But when the members of parliament, led by these particular members, actually went to the ground, things changed from almost 20% to 50%. And that is why I'm assuring them that give us another 1 month. Give us another 1 month. You will see the effects of the Jubilee Reloaded. You will be surprised. We are lucky that we have 13 months. We'll be on the ground. The politicians have not been on the ground. Our competitors have just been dealing with invisible, their shadows. In the provincial administration, actually it's unfair to blame chiefs and assistant commissioners and sub-county commissioners. These people play their role as security officers, as security agents. If there was any evidence, I can assure you, my good friend Kimani Ichung'wah, that will have been awash actually with the media. The fact that it's not there just tells you it's a rumor. So leave the provincial administration, leave the chiefs, innocent chiefs, DOs, assistant county commissioners, sub-county commissioners, out of the politics. Let them play their security role. Having said that, it is true as Jubilee, and we are divided. One faction has deliberately used the party infrastructure to organize themselves in a party called UDA. For us, we have been a bit civil. We have given every opportunity available for people to come back to their senses. But right now, because we are where we are, and I want to repeat, our performance, we may not have won because of discrepancy, and that will be demonstrated in the court. But I think our members did very well. That is why right now we're insisting for a clearly defined role for members, for politicians, actually in the management of the party, which has not been before. And this has been something that has been, in the public debate for quite some time. So the Jubilee that has had problem bedeviled. One group has gone ahead to organize themselves. And equally, they also kept us busy at our own. Right now, what we have decided is let bygones be bygones. The reloaded Jubilee will be a different Jubilee. And in fact, my good friend here said politicians are not allowed to be agents. It's one simple reason. Technically speaking, they are still members of Jubilee. And therefore, for them to have gone to IEBC as agents of another party, they fear the consequence of the law. So that is not true. Politicians will be agents of their own party. My friend Chunga is an elected member of Jubilee.
So Doctor, just hold on. Dr. Kenan, you don't exactly respond to my question because I'm asking, what went wrong? Because yes, you may have staged a good show to the extent that you lost by just 510, but why didn't you win? Because this is a constituency that primarily has voted along the Jubilee line since 2013.
I think there are certain things that we must also admit. You know, if you look at the history of by-elections or midterm elections, look at what happened in America. Obama won with an overwhelming majority. He had a super majority in the Congress. What happened in the midterm? He lost both in the Senate and in the Congress. People said, oh, they were done with Obama. And he went ahead and won actually a second term. This is a by-election. And actually the expectation by the public actually on sitting government normally is very high. Equally, as a party, and I want to go on record, we were not properly, this particular election actually was one of the best shows that we have ever had since this disagreement actually started. That's why I congratulate the people of Kiambaa. They did very well. I want to congratulate the leadership of that particular region who participated in the election. They also did very well. Here is the new beginning for the reloaded Jubilee, and that is why we are saying our political competitors should be ready for a healthy and competitive
all right. Let me
political activities.
Let me take it to Herman, because you've been observing this, and now, I mean, there's a winner. There's someone who says that they'll be going to court. It's a year to the next election. What do you make of this Kiambaa by-election, and what didn't work for Jubilee?
First, Sam, let me pass my condolences to the families of the people who lost their loved ones in that horrific accident or incident at in Siaya. It is really painful. It shows the kind of society we are in, where people are willing to die because of their status. They're really desperate. I think the country is not doing very well. You know, the same page of the paper I'm reading, I can see 350,000 young Kenyans applying and shortlisted to be interviewed for the teaching positions that are available. There are only 9,000. You can see as a country we are not doing well. Now, Kiambaa, let's say Heko and Kongole to the victor, is called Njuguna, Wanjiko, and Kanini, it's called what? The other fellow, who was, I think, more popular than Njuguna, but because of the wrong place. We say he will fight another time.
Ishungu actually agrees.
I'm sure he will win next time. It's the people's choice. I also have a pulse in Kiambaa and Kikuyu and the rest of these places. I think certainly there is no doubt as to why Jubilee didn't win. It's the fact that the people of the mountain have an issue with President Uhuru Kenyatta and Jubilee. So really, to look for other reasons is to waste time. In fact, they must count themselves lucky that they didn't receive what people call kichapo cha mumba.
What does that mean?
It simply means you are whitewashed. So don't look for why Jubilee lost. Things are not good for Jubilee and Uhuru Kenyatta around the mountain. But having said that, I must also add that, like he has pointed out, things change. In politics, we have a year plus. That is a long, long time. So I'll also advise my friend Kimani, I have to be careful to call him Kimani Ichung'wah, not to sit pretty thinking that what obtains today will obtain until August 2022. I think in a nutshell, and really, before I sign off on this, even blaming Murathe and Tuju is a waste of time. What is happening in Jubilee is bigger than Tuju, bigger than Murathe. If there was time you wanted us to discuss, I would try to explain to you what I think is happening in Jubilee, and which should make even Ichung'wah a little worried. I think it is deliberate. Those who own the party have deliberately set the house on fire. Yeah, I think
We'll get to that because the next conversation will be about what's happening within the Jubilee Party. But Honorable Ishungwe, you had a rejoinder to what Dr. Kenan said.
Yeah, first let me just begin by agreeing with Herman and assure him that we are not sitting pretty. We are people who work hard, and we are working really hard to maintain the status quo for the party of the future. Two is my rejoinder on what Kenan was saying. One, Kenan was not on the ground in Kiambaa. He may be feigning a lot of ignorance on what happened in Kiambaa. And I want to agree with Herman. The Jubilee candidate initially, as a person, was a very strong candidate. He was indeed the most popular candidate at a high of close to 82% in the very first opinion polls that we ourselves carried out. A high of 82% before he got the Jubilee ticket nomination, the direct nomination. The direct nomination brought him down to about 70%, just getting the ticket. The moment Jubilee set foot and was now identified with Jubilee, and I hear what Sabina Chege is saying there, that President Uhuru Kenyatta was not on the ballot, which again is a fact of life. But again, the same Jubilee leaders got the candidate, took him to State House, took photographs, posted Uhuru Kenyatta's portraits on billboards, huge billboards in Rwaka, in Gashie, all over the constituency. Then they tell us Uhuru Kenyatta was not on the ballot. It is them in Jubilee that put Uhuru Kenyatta on the ballot when he was not on the ballot. The choice of the candidate, Kareri Njama, and I will tell you this because they stole Kareri Njama from UDA. He was our candidate. They stole him.
How did they do that?
You know, maybe that's the story for another day. The same script of intimidation, coercion, threats, bribery, which they are accustomed to. And I will tell you, the only thing that Jubilee as a political party did to their candidate was bring him down from a high of 80% probability of winning an election to the 49 or so percentage that he got. So it is in fact Jubilee that made a good candidate lose. I will admittedly say John Njuguna Wanjiko was a fresh year. He was fresh in politics, very green, and relatively unknown. He had never run in any other election. Kareri Njama had run in 2017, was runners-up with close to 16,000 votes in 2017 as an independent candidate. And you can see he got his traditional 16,000 votes that he got as a runners-up candidate. And Jubilee probably could only give him another 5,000. I can assure you, if Kareri Njama had run on UDA, he would probably have scored close to 40,000 votes against the closest rival. But Jubilee brought him down. But Gituku, allow me to just delve on to the issues that Kenan had touched. And again, Kenan, it's good to be honest. You know chiefs were not providing security. The police who were contracted by IEBC were there to provide security. Chiefs were there to try, bribe, and influence the election. And the people resisted. And they will continue to resist your party so long as you continue behaving in the same way. So long as you continue being escapist in what you say about Jubilee as a political party, then even what you're calling reloaded will not be reloaded. It is dying, and it is dead. And I want to agree with what Herman is saying. The owners of the party, because Kenan, and I read his article with all due respect to my brother Kenan, because he's been my chairman in the last parliament. And in a way, I could agree with him that first of all, the political class in the party has been sidelined, and the party ran by its owners. The only thing Kenan was afraid to call out are the owners of the party. And even what he's saying that they are reloading, you cannot reload this party until and unless the owners of the party agree. And I saw him pointing fingers, and I have seen Kanini Kega and all the others pointing fingers at the Tujus and Murathes of this world. And I want to agree with Herman. These are very small people. These are mere employees who can be fired anytime. You remember Murathe has fired himself, rehired himself, refired himself, I think in a period of 6 months. These people are innocent people. The problem in Jubilee is with the party leadership. Kenan, and he must be bold enough to say it. And I want to put it on record, my brother Gituku and Kenan. The party leadership, beginning with the party leader, is the problem. Kenan went to great lengths in his article in the Sunday Nation yesterday, speaking about how we have never held a PG. He holds a non-existent position of Joint Parliamentary Group Secretary, non-existent position. He holds it. which was given as a token because they were very keen to remove Aden Duale from the party leadership. And out of tokenism, they wanted to show the northeastern part of Kenya that you still have a position, and they dished out a non-existent position of the Joint Parliamentary Group Secretary. He is a secretary. How many PGs have you convened since then? The only PGs that have been convened by this party are PGs to eject members of the party from their positions in Parliament and elsewhere. The party leadership, and I say this with all due respect to my president because I really have nothing personal and I hold him with high esteem and respect. But in terms of political party management, and maybe it's the nature of his work, being a president, you are busy, maybe it was time to have an active party chairman or allow a deputy party leader or even a secretary general to be actively involved in the day-to-day running of the party. But you must again also appreciate the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta has no history, has no experience, has no record of ever managing any political party in this country. Remember in 2002, let me just finish that point, Gituku.
You're getting into
in
the next
2002, President Uhuru Kenyatta was given Kanu, handed over Kanu by Moi with close, I think, to 60 members of parliament. By the time President Uhuru Kenyatta left Kanu, it had, I think, 15 members of parliament.
Oh,
a huge national movement
you tell us
was
the relevance of that
to be
just
a
a moment,
village
because and before you take a break, I want
the
to
same is
allow...
happening to Jubilee.
Just hold on. I want to allow Dr. Kenyan to respond to that and also tell me whether whatever happened in Kiambaa for UDA, can they sustain it up to 2022 at a time that time every other contender, every other member of parliament will be fighting for election or re-election?
First, before I respond to that question, let me remind, and I thought the Honorable Ichunga is an avid reader by now, though he has left technically Jubilee, should be familiar with the Constitution of Jubilee. I want you to read Article 7 of the party, Jubilee Party Constitution, the organs of the party, and look at G, which provides for the secretary to the parliamentary group position which I'm holding. So it's not a non-existent. So I want to just Google.
Joint secretary?
Joint secretary, yeah, just look. I can give you this.
Who elected you?
Article 7 of the party constitution under the party organs, the NEC, the National Executive Committee. Just look at that. I want to, because I know now, right, technically you have left Jubilee, but I think the party constitution still remains. So this position exists, and therefore I hope any position that has not been given by our detractors, for them, it's not a good position. So I think let me leave there. Secondly, I think it's good to respect President Uhuru Kenyatta. President Uhuru Kenyatta joined politics a long time ago. He comes from a political background, to the best of my recollection. And I've known him since, let me say, 1997 to date, has done very well as a political leader. What might not be working and what people are depreciating, what people are not actually not appreciating, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, the party leader, and the President Uhuru Kenyatta as a person coming from the mount. I think there's a bit of confusion. So people expected him to behave in a certain way that resonates well as a tribal leader. President Uhuru Kenyatta is not a tribal leader. He is the President of the Republic of Kenya. He is the party leader of Jubilee, and therefore those individuals who are hell-bent on trying to push him to behave in a manner that will have projected him as a tribal leader, he won't do it. He is the leader of the people of Kenya, the Republic of Kenya, and that's all. Secondly, look at the politics of parties. And I agree with you. It is too early for our friends to celebrate. They caused havoc in Jubilee. Literally, they made life difficult for us to work. They interfered with every aspect of our operations. But right now, we are so happy and delighted that they have, democracy allows, they have found an alternative vehicle called UDA for their own political activities. This is why right now we are saying, this is good riddance.
Okay.
We will reload Jubilee. Let them accept. Move out decently. Allow us to remain with our party.
Okay.
We will be stronger. Let me finish this.
Yes.
We will be stronger. What we are refusing is to have one leg here as a member of UDA, another leg you have in Jubilee, and yet you want to micromanage. We are saying henceforth, from Kiambaa, we will put aside our differences. For those who have left Jubilee, we wish you well. Stay in your party. Leave us alone to manage our reloaded Jubilee. And two, leave the president out of your petty politics.
All right, Dr. Kenan, let's take a break because we need it. And when we come back, we focus on that, on the future of the Jubilee Party after Kiambaa defeat. Of course, the candidate says that he will be going to the High Court to have that process reviewed. Text in your views via 22422 or tweet us at Citizen TV Kenya at Sam Gituku. The hashtag to use is Debrick. We'll be sampling some of your feedback after the break. Stay tuned.
Kimani.